framework order. Any idea what is framework order or what is blanket order? This is a normal terminology, so may not be directly related to SAP. Have you heard about framework order or blanket order? Or maybe looking at the name, can you tell me what exactly you feel?
Blanket PO, I have heard about it, but I have not worked on it.
Okay, but any idea what exactly the purpose of blanket PO?
Has it something to that it will have some limits and
right.
If I have not worked, I know theoretically maybe I'm aware of. So it will have that limit something.
Right. No problem. Let me tell you. So let's take an example. Let's take an example of, I can take the example of, let's say travel. Okay, so you have a deal with travel agency. Okay, this is your vendor. Travel agency is your vendor. Now on day-to-day basis, you require the travel service. All right, on day-to-day basis, every now and then you may request a travel agency to arrange the travel for one of your employees. Okay, so every time if you keep on giving the PO, that would be very difficult. You have to create multiple POs for the same vendor in the same month, right? And that too, normally the duration, the timeline is also short. It is not like you will be giving a PO and after 2 days the vendor will come with a vehicle and he will arrange a transport. Normally it should be I given a call and immediately the vehicle should be available, right? So every time you are not going to discuss the charges and other things with the vendor. You want to finalize one set of terms and conditions, and instead of creating a PO again and again, what you can do is you can give a blanket PO to your vendor. Okay, so for example, this travel agency, you will agree on some rate, you will agree on some terms and conditions for the entire month or the entire quarter or maybe the entire year, that whenever we feel we will give you the call, okay, and your vehicle should come and arrange the transport for our employees. Billings, you can submit your bills every time when you deliver the service, but PO, the single PO will be given to you at the beginning of the year, and against the same PO, you can submit your invoices. Right, so that is called as blanket PO, where you are not creating a PO every time when you need the service. You are giving a PO to your vendor upfront, okay, and then every time whenever you want to utilize the service, you are just creating the invoice. There is no migo here because it is normally this framework order or blanket order is not for the material purchase. Normally it is for the service procurement. Okay, in material procurement, what was a similar scenario, if you remember? When we are buying.
No. What is the question? Sorry.
My question is, in material procurement also we have a similar scenario where we don't need to again and again create a PO for the vendor.
You create a contract, right?
Yeah, we create a contract or the scheduling agreement. So whatever terms and conditions have been finalized for a particular set of material, okay, so we just give one single contract, value contract or maybe quantity contract or a scheduling agreement to the vendor, that every time we don't need to give you the PO. Whenever we ask you to deliver a material, you deliver a material against the same PO. In case of services, instead of creating the contract or scheduling agreement, normally we create a blanket or framework order. So only difference is in case of blanket order or in case of framework order, there is no MIGO required because it is not a material procurement. Okay, even it is not a service procurement. So normally what we do is just create a PO, and based on the PO, we directly get the invoices from the vendor. No MIGO required, no service entry sheet required. Right? So how this process is different in SAP now? How are you going to create these things in SAP? So for framework order, there is a separate type of order. Okay, if you go to transaction ME21 and itself, the same transaction. So normally till now, whatever purchase orders we have created, we were normally using this purchase order type NB, right? But for this kind of order, framework order, normally we use order type, which is FO. Okay, you can see framework order. Now in this framework order, Again, you can provide the vendor code, the vendor from where you are buying the services. Obviously, there will not be any material. Account assignment category, since this is service, obviously you will be debiting to the cost center or to the project. So whatever cost has been incurred on this particular service, travel expenses and all, normally it will be booked under the particular cost center. Okay, and this is by default. Whatever you are going to enter here in PO, that would be by default. But at the time of invoice, let's assume you know that the actual department who has incurred this cost is not the one that you provided at the time of PO, then you can change at the invoice level also. So here I'm mentioning K. And very importantly, if you remember, we have discussed till now, the last time we discussed that item category can be consignment, it can be subcontracting, it can be services. Similarly, when it comes to the framework order, you can enter the service also, but normally we go with limit, okay, which is B. If you enter D, then you have to provide the service master data. It would be similar to the service agreement that we created previously. Only thing is, in this case, the additional effort would be you need to create a service entry sheet every time. So if you want to get rid of that, you can just provide B, okay, and no material required, whatever short text you want to provide. So for example, this is my travel framework order, okay, which you are giving to the vendor. No quantity, since it is not quantity based. Net price, if you want to enter, maybe the overall contract price, if you want to enter, let's say I'm entering the overall contract price for 1 month, let's say 100K INR. Okay, and since I'm not providing any material, I'm not providing any service, system will definitely ask me material group. Either material or service or material group is a mandatory field. So you can select whatever material group is relevant here. So maybe if you have created something for travel, you can select. If you are not created, then you can maybe create or maybe use one of the existing one which is available. So I think this is relevant, travel expenses. Okay, now if I press enter, system will ask me few things. It is asking me validity start. Since it is a framework order, it has a validity. Okay, either it is for a month or a quarter or a year. So let's assume I'm creating this order from 1st of November 2020 to 30th of November 2020. Okay, let me just press another enter. So this is only valid for a month. Now system is asking you what is the overall limit. Normally you are giving a blanket order, so it should not happen that it is just like whatever you want to buy, you buy it. Normally you provide some limit that in a month your manager has approved or your management has approved the travel cost of this much expenses. Okay, so that limit you can enter it here. If your invoices goes beyond this limit, then system will not allow you to book those invoices, or those invoices which you are booking will go into the blocked state. Okay, let me show you. So if I enter the overall limit, let's say my overall limit is so I'm saying 100,000 is my budget, but I can go beyond, let's say up to 120,000, not more than this. Expected value is 100,000, but I can go up to 120,000. Now system is asking you the assignment, where exactly this cost should be booked. So definitely I want to book this cost under my travel expenses. Okay, you will be entering the GL account here for travel expenses or whatever services you are trying to buy. You can provide the default cost center later on. As I told you, if you want to change, you can change this cost center also. So I'm taking this admin department for Bangalore as a default cost center. Okay, that's it. Now you can see the purchase order mandatory things are done. System is allowing us to go ahead and create this purchase order. So you can see the purchase order number has been generated. Now, as I told you, since this is not a purchase order related to material, there is no need of MIGO. Rather, you will send this PO to the vendor and vendor will start providing you the service. Now let's assume one of the employee has called to this service agency and he asked for the travel, and on the next day itself, this travel agency has sent you the bill. Okay, now no service entry, no MIGO, you are directly going to go to the invoice booking using transaction Miro. Okay, so let's assume you got a invoice from this vendor Let's say this is invoice number 1. Okay, for amount, let's say 800. Okay, just a short trip, 800 INR is the amount. Okay, and here you will be entering that this invoice that you got is with respect to which PO. So you enter the PO number here. If you just press enter, system will try to copy the data from the PO, but since system will not automatically take the value because you are not expecting a single invoice from this vendor for the full value. And in order to enter the value of this service, what you need to do is okay, you will be able to see this account assignment. As I told you, if you want to change the GL or if you want to change the cost center, you can do it here. First, system is asking for the baseline date so that the system can calculate the due date. If I go to account assignment, you can see system is asking you how much amount. So this is 800. It is asking you which GL account. By default, it is taking from PO. If you want to change it, you can change it here. If you want to change your cost center also, you can change it here. Okay, once you maintain this information here, if you go back, it is asking you to enter the tax code. So I'm just entering the tax code. I'll enter the tax code with 0 value as of now. So I'm selecting this I0. Let me click on back. Now you can see it is turned into green. Okay, so there is no tax and the total amount of 800, I'm able to book the invoice. Okay, if I try to save this, system will generate this invoice and this much amount we need to pay to the vendor. Okay, if I go to my PO history, if I go to transaction ME23N for the order that we created just now, if you click on purchase order history, it will clearly show you that how many invoices are already received against this framework order from the vendor. Okay, and each and every invoice is with respect to this particular framework order. Okay, now let's assume we have provided the overall limit of how much? We provided the overall limit of 120,000. Okay, at any point in time, if a vendor is sending you the bills which worth more than the overall limit, then see what will happen. So let's assume there are many invoices which are received from the vendor, and ultimately I'm just posting the final invoice. Let's say this is invoice number 2, and vendor is saying that this is the invoice of this much amount. Okay, which is more than overall value is more than the overall limit that we have provided. So again, if I go to account assignment here, first is asking for the baseline date, and then if I go to account assignment here, if I enter the same amount, okay, and try to click on tax code is mandatory. Let me enter the tax code I0. Okay, click on back. You can see system is throwing a message. It is saying value exceeded. The limit is being exceeded. What does it mean? It means that the overall limit that we have provided was 120,000. So if you are going ahead with this invoice, your value will be exceeded. Okay, system is giving you the information message. If I click on enter and try to save, system is not stopping me to save it. System is not stopping me to post it. It is just giving me the information message. But once I post, see what happens. Once I post, see the message. Document number has been created, invoice has been created, but by default it went on blocked for payment. So although system is allowing you to book the invoice for the vendor, but because the limit is more than whatever has been already approved by the management, if you want to pay to this vendor, first of all, management has to approve the payment for this particular invoice. Okay, so definitely now it will go to the management for approval. Management will ask you, we have provided you the limit of 120,000, then how it comes to be more than that? If you are able to provide a right justification, what management will do is they will go to this invoice. Okay, so if I want to see this particular invoice, which is already posted, there are 2-3 ways. First, I will show you through purchase order history itself. So if I go to my purchase order history again, it will show me 2 invoices. Okay, if I want to open this, I can click on this directly. Okay, within this, I can click on follow on documents and it will show me the accounting document. Now in the accounting document, I'll be able to Double click on the vendor line item and you can see here payment is blocked. Payment is blocked because of indicator R. What do you mean by R? R means in the invoice verification, this particular document was blocked. So your manager, what they will do, the management will have the access, they will go to the stage and they can select this free for payment. If it is free for payment, this means now the payment can be made. Okay, till the time the payment is blocked, you will not be able to make the payment to this vendor. Okay, this is one way in which you can see the invoices of a particular vendor. Second is if you want to see a particular invoice, you can also do logistics, materials management, logistics invoice verification. Okay, you can see document entry. This is for creating new. This is if you want to park. I'll come to what is park. Further processing, display the invoice document, MIR4. So MIR4 is a transaction which will allow you to display a particular invoice. Okay, you can see it is opening the same thing. Now, due to some reason, let's assume your management has not approved it and they want you to cancel this invoice. Okay, and they want you to rectify the invoice. Maybe the vendor has charged you more. So you are asked to cancel this invoice. You can come directly to this transaction, MR8M, double click. Reversal reason you have to provide. Why are you reversing? There are multiple reasons which are already available, but if you normally this is created by FI. Okay, so reversal reasons normally comes under FI because this is going to Miro. Actually, the invoice booking is actually part of FI. It is a tight integration with MM. So you have to, normally we use this 01 and 02. 01 is for current period, which means if you are trying to reverse the invoice which is booked in the current period itself. Second is reversal in the close period. So let's assume you booked the invoice last month and now you are trying to reverse. In that case, you will be selecting 02. So in our case, you will be normally selecting 01. Okay, I'm not reversing as of now. I want to show you one more thing. Release the blocked invoices. So from here also, you can come, you can see which are the invoices which are blocked. Okay, it will show you all the blocked invoices. There are 2 invoices which are blocked. So your management who has this authority, they can select this invoice and they can click on the release button. Okay, so that blocking indicator will be removed from the invoice. Okay, so if you want to reverse, let me show you cancel. So I will specify the reversal reason as a current month because I just now posted this invoice. If you click on save, this will generate a reversal document and the invoice will be reversed. Okay, even if you go to the purchase order history, you will be able to see that the original invoice was created, but it got reversed. You can see plus sign and minus sign. So overall, only 800 has been utilized from this framework order. Is it clear?
Vikram,
Yeah.
Quick question. So we are using Miro only to book the invoice or?
Yeah, Miro only.
Okay, so it goes to GRIR only.
No. We are doing Miro because
Okay.
there is, whenever you are doing the cycle, your invoice sometimes is based on the good receipt, sometimes it is based on the PO directly.
Okay.
In this particular case, there is no GRIR. The reason being, GRIR will come into the picture when there is a service or a goods receipt. In this case, although it is a service, but we are not doing any service entry sheet. Right? So there is no question of GR. We already know the vendor. We already know which service we bought. So automatically vendor will be credited and your expense account would be debited. If you see the accounting impact, so there is no GRR in picture here. It will be directly expense to vendor. You can see this expense account debit to vendor account credit.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know that. Okay. So directly it's going against the cost center. Okay.
Exactly. Okay, it generates a controlling document also because there is a cost center. There is a cost involved in the controlling module. So ultimately the cost is getting booked in this particular cost center. So while creating the PO, if you want to book this cost in cost center or you want to book this cost in a particular WBS, if you are using the project-based organization, accordingly you need to select the account assignment category. Okay, clear on this? What is framework order?
Yes, Vikram. Just one question. In the purchase order history, the invoice, if you see the document type was REL.
No, that is okay. Let me go to the history. Document type is not REL. Document type is RE. Let me refresh this. I think this was the old one. So ME23N with purchase order history. Document type is RE. This is short text. This is not a document type. Document
Is
type.
it always REL? Generally, maybe I'm wrong. It is generally RE.
No,
Or
no,
is it
no.
always REL?
Same thing I'm saying. This REL is not a document type. This is a short text. If you want to see the document type, let me go to follow on documents. Double click on this. Let's see the document type. It is RE only.
Okay.
Right? Document type is RE only.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's talk about our second scenario for today. What was that?